Greetings, Ian from RTO here. Welcome to the beginning of another week, and we're going to kick off this week with a bit of prog, and it is in memory of Francis Monkman, who sadly died, and the band we're talking about are Curved Air. Now, they evolved from a band called Syphilis, which had Darrell Way in it, violinist who was at Dartington College and the Royal College of Music, and Francis Monkman, who was a member of the Royal Academy of Music. So they played their early gigs at Lee Hill Place in Surrey for a masked ball, and they sort of got other people on board. So you've got this mixture of folk and classical and prog, an interesting sound. They released 8 albums during their career, and they hit big in the 70s. They come back for a little while, and yeah, it was good to see them back, and there's some great stuff on their albums. So let's have a look at them. So coming in at number 8, this is the 7th album from 2014, and it is called North Star. Now this has got 7 new songs, some reworkings of classics, and a few covers as well. And the musicians on this one are Sonia Christina, who's been with them quite a lot, Florian Pilkington on drums, who's been around a long time, Kirby Gregory on guitar, Chris Harris bass and electric upright bass, Robert Norton on the keyboards, and Paul Sachs, who plays violin. So the first track on here is called Stay Human. Now this is a really good opener. I love the guitar riff in this. It sounds very Curved Air. Sonia sounds good as ever. It's a pretty good track. I like that one. Time Games. Now this is a great prog track. Great work here from Kirby Gregory. The bass line from Chris is fantastic. I really like that track. Then we get a redone version of Puppets that featured on the 2nd album. Good song. There's not much difference between that and the original, to be quite honest. Then we get Images and Signs, my favourite track on here. It's a lovely vocal from Sonia. The keyboards from Robert really work well on this. It's really good. Then we get a track called Interplay. Paul Sachs, who plays violin on it, is so good. It's so in the Darrell way of playing. It's a great vocal from Sonia as well. Next is Spider. There's some lovely flute on here that works well with the guitars. Excellent track. Magnetism. Now this is a little bit odd. It's very disjointed. The vocals don't sound very good. It's probably my least favourite track on the album, but it has got a good guitar solo in, so that saves it. That's a saving grace. Colder Than a Rose in Snow. This is first appeared on a Sonia Christina solo album. It's a different interpretation of this song. It's really good. You know, she's an octave lower, because when she sang this she was a little bit younger, but it's a reasonably good version of it. I don't mind that track. Then we get a cover of a police song, Spirits in the Material World. Very interesting interpretation of the song, but it's okay. It's listenable. Old Town News. Good song. You know it's Curved Air. That's the main thing. Then we have Situations, which first appeared on Air Conditioning. A little bit different to the original. It's okay, but I prefer the original. We'll say that. Chasing Cars, which is actually, of course, a Snow Patrol song. It's not a bad version, but not a patch on Snow Patrols. Then we got Young Mother, which appeared on the 2nd album. It's always a good track, doesn't matter what version you hear. I think there's not much between them. Then we get a very interesting cover of Across the Universe from the Beatles. Not very keen on it. That sounds the album. It's a reasonable album, to be quite honest. There are some good tracks on here. The covers are a little bit in different interpretations, but I do enjoy listening to this actually. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay then, coming in at number 7 is their last release. It was in 2019 and it's called the Curved Air Family Album. Now this is an album of rare tracks and previously unreleased collaboration and solo tracks. So the first track on here is a song that Curved Air recorded. I don't know when these were recorded, who is playing on it. Couldn't find the information. So this Coming Home is quite different. It sounds pretty good. I like the track even though it's a bit dancey in places. So this is one of the later ones. They've done it in sort of their style. Children of the Cosmos. Now this is a Daryl Way song. Nice little song written by Daryl. Quite modern, some drum programming in there. It's quite pleasant. Then we got Citadel, which is a Sonia Christina song. Quite a basic track, nice guitar work and a great vocal from Sonia. Then we get Overture from Handel's Suite Number 7, of course interpreted by the brilliant Francis Monkman. Wonderful piece of harpsichord music. He was such a talent. I love the harpsichord, and he does a lovely harpsichord bit on Sky 2 as well. Fantastic piece of music. Ichiban Girl, which is from Sonia Christian and Daryl Ray. Not very keen on it, it's not very good. Then we get an interesting version of Coming Out. It's alright, that's all I'll say. Then we get Screw, really good vibe. Him playing, I think it's Daryl Ray, it's exquisite. Then my favourite track on here is a track Towards Tomorrow. It's by Curved Space. It's quite rocky. Got some nice keyboard on it. Very, very good. The Fury, which is another Curved Air track. The highlights of this is the interplay between the guitar and the violin. Shame, which is Gregory Kirby. Really good track. Great guitar work on that. Made in Hollywood's next. Isn't too bad. It's alright. Then there is a track called The Stars That Played with Lucky Joe's, written by Stuart Copeland, of course, who was with the band for a little while. I like this track. Some really good drumming from Stuart on this. He is a fantastic drummer. Midnight Wire, which is an orchestral version of this song, pretty good. It's a 2-disc set, so we got the second disc starts off with Stay Human. My second favourite track on that album has got some lovely keyboards in and some great riffs. Then there's By the Fire, written by Paul Sachs. Great violin from Paul on this, absolutely fantastic. Then we get Anya, Angel from Sonia. Lots of ambience in this. Fine vocal from Sonia. Then we get a track from Robert Norton, Boundless Optimism. Really nice piano piece. Like that quite a lot. Moonbeams. This is another sort of Sonia and Robert Norton song. Quite dull. Not very good at all. One Step Forward, a guitar piece from Chris Harris. Time Guide, which is a Curved Air. A lot of sort of jazz fusion in here. Love the guitar solo. Then we get Labyrinth, which is by RFK, apparently, whoever that is. Some nice guitar bits and keyboard. Interplay. That's okay. Then we get The Gift. Pleasant song. Images and Signs. It's got a sort of a basic version of that. Parasound. Lots of percussion, nothing interesting. And Soon. Now this is a version of the bit from Relayer, Against Delirium. It's wonderful. It's a very good cover of it. I think this is a really interesting album, actually. It's got odds and ends, and I sometimes like these albums, and it's stuff that's not on other albums, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, then coming in at number 6, we go to the 6th album, released in 1976, and it is called Airborne. It was a follow-up to a single they did called "Baby Please Don't Go." The group disbanded, and then drummer Stuart Copeland went on to form the Police. So it was just sort of the last thing that Stuart did before the Police. So on here we have got Sonia Christina on vocals, Daryl Way on the keyboards and violin, Tony Reeves on bass, keyboards and double bass, Stuart Copeland on the drums, Mick Jacks on guitars. Guest musicians on here are Robin Lumley on piano, Alan Skidmore on the sax, Henry Lowther on trumpet, and Frank Ricotti congas, an accordion by Jack Embo. Bob Sargent does some organ. This opens up with Desiree. Like this track. Stuart Copeland's drums are fantastic on this. Kids to Blame. It's a real rocky track, this one. More than prog, but it's still a good track. Broken Lady. Sonia's vocals are wonderful. And then we got some lovely flute and violin thrown in from Daryl. Excellent track. Juno, another great track with Daryl's violin. He's a great violinist. I love this. Some little rock sounds in this. Touch of Tequila. Nah, it's not my thing. I just don't get on with that. Moonshine, though, is an absolute brilliant track. It's an 11-minute epic. It's got some lovely vocals here from Sonia. The drumming from Stuart is fantastic. The flute really works on this. It's a fantastic track. Heaven Never Seemed So Far Away. Good little rocker. Again, the drumming from Stuart is brilliant on this. Some great violin. Do like that track. Hot and Bothered comes next. Got some saxophone on it. It's a jazzy sort of vibe, bit of a jam session. Really, really good. Then Dazed. Again, one of the weaker tracks on the album to end the album. It's not brilliant. Okay, this one is definitely a bit of a mixed bag. It's got some good stuff on it. But the real highlight of this is listening to Stuart Copeland drumming on it. Absolutely brilliant. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.6. Okay, then coming in at number 5, we have the 5th album, recorded in 1975, and it's called Midnight Wire. It marked another change up in the band, with Daryl Way and Sonia Christina recruiting new musicians after the end of their reunion tour. So it's Sonia Christina on lead vocals, Daryl Way on violin, Mick Jacks on guitar, Stuart Copeland's on drums. Guest musicians on this is John G. Perry on the bass, Peter Wood did the keyboards, and Derek Damien was backing vocals. First track on here is called Woman on a One Night Stand. This is a bluesy sort of track. Some great guitar work here from Mick Jacks, my favourite track on the album. Daybreaks My Heart. This isn't too bad. It's got a really nice vocal from Sonia on that one. Then we get a track called The Fool. I love Daryl's violin playing on this. It is absolutely fantastic. And the guitar solo from Mick Jacks, good. Piper Dreams comes next. Not a great fan of this. It really doesn't even sound like a Curved Air track. Orange Street Blues, not bad, little rock track. Got a nice guitar solo from Mick Jacks on it. Dance of Love comes next. Doesn't fit on the album. It's just not a prog or rock track. Midnight Wire isn't too bad. It's not very proggy though, but it is a good track. Yeah, this album again, it's a little bit mixed. But even though some of the tracks are not proggy, they are well put together, and it's a reasonably good listen. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 4. This is from 73. It's called Haircut. And again, a different... This is an interesting album. The 3 of the founding members left, so there was only Sonia and Mike Wedgwood left. They renamed the band from their previous albums to Haircut and took a more rock rock style, but it's still good. It's still curved air at the end of the time. But it's got some interesting people on here. So joining Sonia and Mike Wedgwood was Eddie Jobson on violins from UK, Kirby Gregory on guitars, Mike Wedgwood of course on the bass, and Jim Russell was on the drums. First track on this one is called The Purple Speed Queen. Good little rocker, I like this. Great guitar work from Gregory. And then Elfin Boy comes next. Love this track, love the keyboard, love Eddie Jobson's work on this, fantastic. It's Christina, Sonia and Eddie wrote that song. It's pretty good. Next up, when this stops twiddling about, is my favourite track called Metamorphosis. An epic. Eddie Jobson's violin is absolutely brilliant. If Darryl Way left, bring in Eddie Jobson, you can't go wrong, can you? It's a brilliant track. It's got lovely textures, some nice violin from Eddie. Sonia's on fire. It's a strong track. Then we get a track just called World. Very short piece, but it's got some nice Eddie Jobson violin on it. Then we got Amen. This is an instrumental track. My second favourite track on here. I love Eddie's violin on it. The drumming from Jim Russell's brilliant. It's a good track. Then we get a track called UHF. Another bright track. Lots of atmosphere on here. I like the guitar work as well. The keyboards, Eddie Jobson. It's got the little traits that from UK on it as well. Then we get 232, another quirky rock track with some great guitar work on that. And the last track is called Easy. Good rock track to end the album. Okay, this album is a little bit different, of course. It's a more rocky element, but it has got Eddie Jobson on it, which he did a fantastic job. And I do enjoy playing this album. I play it a lot. I think it's just a good sound album. A little bit different, but it's still solid. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, the top three, well, to me, are the when Curved Air were at their best. And it does features Francis Monkman, which is what it's all about, really. So coming in at number 3, we have Phantasmagoria. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's the third album that was released in 1972. So on here we've got Sonia Christina, Darryl Way on the violins, Francis Monkman on keyboards and guitars, and Mike Wedgwood on bass, and Florian Pilkington Miska on drums. First track on here is one of my favourite tracks by Curved Air, and it's called Marianne Antoinette. Atmospheric, some great keyboard work from Francis, the drumming from Florian, absolutely brilliant, but it's Sonia's vocals are absolutely dynamite on that. Then we get Melinda, in brackets more or less, another great track. Sonia's got such an angelic voice at times. Sometimes she can sing like an angel or sing like a demon. Great vocal on that one. Not quite the same. I love this. It's got that sort of medieval Renaissance sort of feel to it. There's some lovely pieces here from Francis. Great track. Then we get Cheetah. I love Darryl's violin on this. Some great drumming from Florian on this track as well. A pretty good track. Then we get Ultra Vivaldi. It's a very short piece. And it's just an interplay between Darryl and Francis, with a little bit from the track Vivaldi. It's only 1 minute and 22 long. Side 2 starts off with the title track, Phantasmagoria. I love this song. Again, it's that interplay between Francis and Darryl. Absolutely wonderful. Whose shoulder are you looking over? Francis Monkman was a fantastic composer of music. Not one of his best, but it's still pretty. You know it's Francis. Over and above, oh, this is brilliant. There's all sorts of instruments on here. It's another Monkman pen song, and it's absolutely fantastic. Once a Ghost, Always a Ghost. Last track on the album, fantastic, dramatic. The vocal from Sonia is electric. There's some very interesting tracks on this one, but they're all pretty good. I just like how the way it comes together, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 2 is the second album, and it's called The Second Album. It was released in 1971. So the band is Sonia, Daryl, Francis. We've got Iain on bass on this one, and Florian Pilkington Miska on drums. First track is Young Mother. I love this track. I prefer this version. I think it's that keyboard from Francis that really makes it. The beginning of this is very similar to Machine Messiah by Yes. I love this track, and I prefer this version to the one that was on All Star. Backstreet Love. Again, Francis' keyboards are really good. The drumming from Florian. Oh, what a drummer he was. And got a great vocal from Sonia. Then we get Jumbo. I love the piano at the beginning of this from Francis. The violin from Daryl soothes away with a great vocal from Sonia. Then we get You Know. Again, it's a great track. The solo on the violin from Daryl is just fantastic. Very, very good. Puppets. They did this on the 2014 album. I prefer this version. It's got some lovely conga drums on this, and I love the ticking of the clock. It's absolutely fantastic. Gives it some atmosphere. Everdance comes next. A wizardry piece of writing from Francis Monkman. The violin's gone, the drumming from Florian is superb. Then we get Bright Summer's Day, 68. Very short piece, but Sonia's vocals are fantastic on it. Then we get the masterpiece of Peace of Mind. You can see elements of what when he wrote When Opposites Meet in this, which he did for Sky. My second favourite piece of music on there. I love the middle bit where you've got Sonia doing some whispering. Really adds atmosphere to it. It's a great track to end the album. Classic album. Classic tracks from top to bottom. Some of the finest work by this band on this. Francis Monkman really drove this band in the early days, and I love this album. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 8.4. So to my number 1, and to be quite honest, it's one of the best albums from 1970. There were so many good albums that come out in that year, and it's their debut album called Air Conditioning. Sonia, Daryl, Francis. We've got Rob Martin on the bass on this one, and Florian doing the drums. First track on here, it's a great track called It Happened Today. You got Francis playing the guitar. I mean, he's a great all-round musician and composer, was Francis. Wizard on the keyboards, and a pretty good guitarist. It's a great vocal from Sonia. Then we get Stretch. The guitar work from Francis on this is absolutely brilliant, because he plays lead guitar and keyboards on this album. And then Florian's bright drums, brilliant. Then we get the Screw, which they did, that was on that family album thing, a bit of a rare. That was a more broken down track. This is the full track. It's got some great guitar and keyboards from Francis, and Daryl's violin is fantastic on this. Blind Man, a gentle track this is. I love the drums from Florian. The bongos are pretty good, and it's got some great guitar work from Francis. Then we get my favourite track, and it's probably my favourite track by Curved Air, Vivaldi, written by Daryl Way. I love this piece of music. Francis has actually recorded this twice in his career. He recorded it obviously with Curved Out and Sky. Two different versions of it. This is more for the violin, of course. Absolutely belting track. It's a brilliant piece of music. Now, which version do I prefer? I think this one. This is pure magic. Then we get Hide and Seek. Some great jazz drum from Florian on this. Got some cowbell, the bass line from Rob Martin, who drives the song along great. Then we get Propositions, great vocal from Sonia. The drumming from Florian, the guitar bits from Francis are just hold this track together. Rob 1, a lovely combination of piano from Francis and violin from Daryl. So eerie and atmospheric. Superb track. Situations, bright little rock track. This is far much better than the re-recorded version. Then we end the album with Vivaldi with cannons. It's a cheeky bit of music again. I think it's quite fun to end the album with. Okay, I think this is a fantastic album. Absolute killer tracks on this. And I think Francis Monkman was a fantastic musician, composer, guitar player and keyboard player. I played this album a hell of a lot. It's just a classic. And I think if I did a albums of 1 year, this would be definitely up there. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. Okay. There we go, a bit of Curved Air. And if you notice that my note is going mad, I just want to go and blow it out of the kingdom come. It is so irritating at the moment. So I'm going to go and sort that out, and then I'll be back to do the classic album this week, and it is one from the Modern Lovers and their self-titled album, The Model Lovers. So I'll join you for that when I've sorted my news out. Bye for now.